First of all, my heartfelt gratitude to all the worthy speakers, Dr. Zahir Kazmi, Dr. Rizwana Abbasi, Dr. Zafar Khan, and Air Commodore Khalid Banori for taking out their precious time and sharing their analysis on this subject of immense significance. This becomes more important when our narrative is missing from the available academic discourse on the subject at international level. There is lack of empathy for the perspectives of non-NP state actors on this issue. And if any state talks about or highlight something which is not being supported by P5, that is being considered as something rogue or revisionist or unacceptable. And lack of empathy starts even from the acceptance for the point of view of non NPT states. Today's webinar has provided a comprehensive and multidimensional examination of the theme Universalism versus Selectivity, rethinking equity in the NPT regime. And I'm really grateful that all the worthy speakers, they focused on on this topic and the aspect given to them, and highlighted enduring structural and conceptual tensions within the global nuclear non-proliferation regime. As stated by speakers, NPT is built upon three interrelated pillars: non proliferation, peaceful uses of nuclear energy, and disarmament. As a result, the treaty embodies a delicate balance between security imperatives and developmental rights. However, unfortunately, the treaty is unable to have an equitable approach on the issue. This argument is supported by all the worthy speakers. As highlighted during today's deliberations, the effectiveness of this framework continues to be shaped by the gap between normative commitments and strategic realities. While 191 states are parties to the treaty, the absence of key states outside the regime and divergent interpretations of the obligations continue to pose challenges to the universality and perceived equity and lack of empathy for their perspective as well. The discussion on conceptual and legal foundations reaffirmed that the legitimacy of NPT rests on the consistent, non discriminatory, and balanced implementation, particularly in relation to the safeguards and access to peaceful nuclear technology and right to and an empathetical approach for the security threat perceptions, security aspirations of other states. I personally, as a student of strategic studies, believe that until we are unable to resolve the security dilemma inculcated in international security structures, any arms control or disarmament efforts or treaty would not be 100% effective or successful, because as it was stated by Air Commodore Khalid Banori that states don't develop nuclear weapons out of choice, but out of compulsion, and that compulsion is being imposed by the security dilemma they feel themselves entangled in. So, this session on disarmament and strategic realities reflected a persistent concern. Despite long-standing commitments under Article 6, progress towards non-discriminatory nuclear disarmament remains limited, while modernization trends among nuclear-armed states continue to shape the deterrence dynamics. And this looks illogical that the P5, who already have a weapon or a weaponry system or nuclear technology which against which all the rest of the world is defenseless, but still, in order, as Dr. Rizwana said, because of their own competition, between the great powers or superpowers or major powers. They built, they vertically developing the nuclear technology and modernizing it, but all other states have been prohibited from it. It means that their power, their unquestioned and unchallenged power would continue to rise in international system. As pointed out by Dr. Zahir Kazmi, equity isn't a concession to Pakistan. It's a condition for the nuclear order or nuclear order's durability. A regime that freezes history can't command the obedience of geography. 21st century relevance requires moving from selective management to genuine universalism. So, the term universalism should not be used to look good, but actually to mark uh, potent changes in international security structure. Dr. Kazmi comprehensively explained that why NPT's credibility is strained by unequal implementation of the three pillars as discussed earlier. He said that the Article 10.3 reinforces structural asymmetry, limiting the universality. Selective approaches in disarmament, fissile material, and peaceful uses weaken the regime. Pakistan supports equitable, non-discriminatory, non-proliferation rooted in security realities. That is, I think, a very important takeaway for all the listeners, the audience of today's webinar, that any paradigm of NPT should be rooted in the security realities of each and every state. We cannot make a fit for all model when it comes to security structures. Dr. Kazmi's logical conclusion was that equity is essential for the durability of nuclear order. So, if we want a nuclear order to last, we need to ensure that there should be a structural equity in any regime which aims at making the world a peaceful or safer place. From Pakistan's perspective, as reflected in the discussion, the review process is often viewed as an insufficient, inclusive, with concerns regarding structural imbalances and selective applications of norms. At the same time, the importance of an equitable and rules based approach that recognizes the security consideration of all stakeholders remains central to the sustainable non proliferation framework. And today, when we see the articles on strategic study, the most important topic is that if the rule based world order still sustains or is still there. So, this question is the answer of this question, strategists are trying to find out these days. Dr. Zafar Khan, a dear colleague uh, 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 from NDU and from NCA now, that he supported Pakistan's right to keep nuclear weapons. He suggested Pakistan should never become the part of NPT, even if India signs it, and keep on supporting the pillars of. However, he said that Pakistan should keep on supporting the pillars of non-proliferation, nuclear disarmament, and transparency on the basis of equity, not on the basis of discriminatory behavior. Air Commodore Khalid Banori, a teacher of most of the students of strategic studies, rightly highlighted that Pakistan's mechanisms to ensure nuclear responsibility may inspire other nuclear states as well. He called NPT, and that statement has been endorsed by IAEA as well. He called NPT a political convenience of P5. Discrimination is structured in NPT, and the Nuclear Non-Proliferation Treaty is structurally biased, creating a divide between recognized nuclear powers and others. He said that treaty's grand bargain has failed. Nuclear states continue modernization instead of disarmament after decades. He pointed out the selective implementation, especially the US India nuclear civil nuclear agreement and nuclear supplier group waivers, that undermines the credibility of all efforts of nuclear non-proliferation. Even I would like to add that recently the DG of IAEA supported or encouraged our nuclear reactor of India, which is not under the safeguards of IAEA, and such acts or such actions, they are really detrimental for the all nuclear non-proliferation efforts and safety and security of nuclear programs across the globe. So Pakistan's position has been consistent. Remaining outside of NPT is a principled response to regional security realities and systematic discrimination. Air Commodore Khalid Banori pointed out this as well, and he said that Pakistan advocates a non-discriminatory criteria-based global nuclear order. Although we need to have an intense discussion on criteria, that what that criteria can be or should be, to be non-discriminatory as well, and where the responsible conduct, not truly membership, defines legitimacy. Dr. Rizwana Abbasi, another renowned strategist and a dear colleague, rightly highlighted that intersecting geopolitical and technological pressures constitute major obstacles to consensus, cooperation, and meaningful outcomes of the review conference. Without addressing great power dynamics and tech asymmetry, the NPT risks further delegitimization at international level. She said that US Russia China rivalry is deepening the divide between nuclear weapon states and non nuclear weapon states, fracturing the NPT's political cohesion. So, as we approach the 2026 NPT Review Conference, expectations remain high, yet the challenges are equally significant. These include managing great power rivalries, addressing stagnations in disarmament diplomacy, and strengthening confidence in the review process itself, particularly in achieving consensus based outcomes. Today's discussion reaffirms that the future stability of NPT regime depends upon renewed commitment to equity, non-discrimination, multilateralism, transparency, and balanced implementation across all three pillars of the treaty. Strengthening dialogue, reducing perceptions of selectivity, and reinforcing strategic restraint will be essential for preserving the credibility and relevance of the global nuclear non-proliferation order, and above all, the acceptance for the point of view of other states would also be very important. I extend at the end my sincere gratitude to all the distinguished speakers and participants for their valuable insights and scholarly contributions to this important discussion. I am sure that my team will share their presentations or speeches on our YouTube channel as well. And this is the time to acknowledge the resilience, hard work, and determination of my team